what happened is I finished my work at the municipality. It was 2012. And I was working on a development actually in Syria. And it's one of the most mixed-use development. And as I was working on the master planning, I realized that we don't actually have a model of what a district is. So people in urban planning were really focusing on cities, and in urban design, we're really focusing on streets. So we didn't really have the district scale analysis. So I finished the project, and then I went and did the master, basically, to come up with a model on what could be a smart, sustainable district. And I'm going to take you through the main key components of what a smart, sustainable district is, and how, as placemaking, we are taking this vision forward. So firstly and mostly, a district needs to answer to the sustainability agenda. So we usually have 3 major components of any sustainability agenda on a district level. The first one is economic diversity. So you need to make sure that the uses the land use of the site are really diverse for you to have synergies from an urban economy perspective. The second dimension is social equity and social vitality. What are the income groups that you want? What are the nationalities? Is there a certain ethnicity you're attracting? And what are the tools to attract these ethnicities? And of course, the third aspect of sustainability that is usually mostly commonly known is the environmental integrity, where you focus on renewable energy, when you focus on multiple dimensions of how you make the project environmentally sustainable from a water perspective. Now, the problem with these 3 dimensions is that they are very vast in scope, as you can see. And therefore, we needed to think of them more related to urban planning and urban design. So how can I plan a sustainable district? And I do agree with the previous presenter. It's all about the user experience. But in our case, we don't call them users. We call them residents, tourists, business owners. But the most importantly, we call them also locals. So what is the local perception and how we can take them through the experience. So it's very much aligned with your principles on the virtual space. We take it more than the urban space. Now, why this is important when we talk about smart district strategies, and I'm going to take you through an example of a project that we've done, because each one of the components that I mentioned had a certain dimension that influenced a smart city. So when I talk about economic diversity and bringing multiple land use into a district, these are the backbone of your businesses that will feed into your smart city strategy in terms of inputs from the private sector. For example, if I have a development that is mostly residential, right? What are the smart city application I can give to the residents? Then the whole smart city strategy will change according to that. But also, the more you have diverse groups in a development, the better your data is. It is known. It is a fact. So actually, sustainable district strategies are very much aligned with successful smart city strategies. If we take Barcelona as an example, it hits the 3 dimensions. Barcelona is a sustainable city, so you have diverse income groups and diverse ethnicities. They are living together in a sustainable environment. Plus, it has its own social diversity strategies. These are feeding into its success as a smart city. So these are the aspects we mentioned. There are some technical aspects from urban design and urban planning. So we actually take the model further in detail into how we can make a district unique in design, so have its own identity. Because one of the aspects of successful urban districts is that they are actually unique and authentic. The second aspect is public space. As you know, most of the smart city infrastructure is about, being, as currently seen in Dubai is in the urban space. So it's in the public open spaces rather than inside the building. So a public space strategy is so important for you to actually implement a smart city or a smart district strategy. The third dimension, is infrastructure. And this is where your sustainability strategy and your smart strategy will be aligned in terms of efficientizing your infrastructure systems. And then we talk about private development, how you can partner with the private sector in terms of business, economic activities, but also in terms of construction, phasing, and development planning. And these dimensions are all tied up with an ecological dimensions. So these are the building blocks of our urban strategy. Now I'm going to give you an example of how we have rolled up this. So I'm just going to take you through it. So usually in smart city, we talk about stakeholders, right? So for us, the internal and external stakeholder, as I told you, from a placemaking perspective, is about the residents, how we can collect the residents and include them in the process of devising a smart city, because that also will enhance their ownership of any smart district strategy. The second dimension is infrastructure. So for example, if you have a future IP-based technology, we need to make sure that the district is well equipped with the touch points, sensors, light sensors, public displays, sound system, data centers. All of these consideration means that we have to, on the urban space, plan the actual location of these touch points. The other dimension is the smart integration. So we need to integrate, but then integration, if it's not on the physical, it will not happen on the virtual. People mistakenly think that by linking on the virtual level, they can develop synergies. It doesn't last. Usually when you develop synergies on the virtual space to actually fill a gap in synergies on the physical space, doesn't work. It will fail over time. So what we do, we flip. We actually plan the district in a way that is integrated. So when you overlay your IT infrastructure, when you overlay your apps, when you overlay your softwares, these works very well on geospatial data. There are other aspects that we also take into consideration. We take into consideration climate responsiveness, and we take into consideration also how we can actually roll up programs and events in the space. Because at the end of the day, as you said, it all depends on the crowd, what type of crowd you have, and how they are managed over space and over time. So this is where urban planning is also very much key, because then you would know how this. I am going to open the floor to questions because I wanted this to be more an informal session. So if you have any questions, please let me know.